Hi there, I'm Jennifer Beach and I'll be teaching English 12 online this year. This is a quick orientation for parents and guardians. A little bit about me. I've been teaching for 30 years, 27 in Fairfax County. I've been at a few different schools. Right now I'm at Falls Church High School. I teach English and journalism. I've also worked as a curriculum specialist and an assessment coach in the county. I've been with the online campus teaching either summer online classes or evening online classes for 16 years. I really enjoy teaching online. I think it's a great alternative for many students to be able to add things to their schedule or to learn in a way that is different than face-to-face school. I think it's a great opportunity for them, and I am very enthusiastic, and I hope that they will gain that enthusiasm as they take the class. So the way the class works, it's a little bit different than virtual school was during the pandemic because we only meet once a week on Tuesday evenings from 7 to 8. So this is our time to go over work, it's time for students to ask questions, and then we do practice, group work, collaborative work, different assignments to help them deepen their understanding. So it's a participatory hour and attendance is required. Students are required by online campus to have their cameras turned on and to participate in order to get credit for the work of each class. So basically they have a classwork grade every week for that hour, and they'll have a few different assignments that they need to be participating in to get that credit. If they have to be absent due to an emergency of some sort, if they contact me, I can send them a link to the recording and a way to make up all that work and get those points back. The rest of the week, students have about 6 to 7 hours of independent work that they'll do through Schoology. And basically, on Tuesday night, I introduce the work for the week, and then it's due the following Monday at midnight. And the way that it's laid out, it's on something we call a weekly worksheet, which steps them through the order that they should do the assignments in, so that all the directions are in one place, and it kind of will all fall into place because like one thing builds on the other thing, so they're not confused looking at a bunch of different assignments. They're going to find it all on their weekly worksheet each week. So some class expectations for students. The first is that they check their school email every other day at minimum. A lot of students today don't check school email very often, but for online classes, it's our primary way of sending them messages, so they really need to be checking it and responding. They should be logging into Schoology at least twice a week, once for our weekly class on Tuesday night, and at least one other time to work on their work for the week. They should attend the weekly Zoom class, as I said, with their camera on. And if they have an emergency and they're going to have to miss a Zoom class, they should email me right away so that they can make it up. Finally, they should read Schoology updates. So I put updates in Schoology, which will come to their school email, or they can read it in Schoology. And they should check their unit checklist to see what is due each week. So I started making these years ago. Basically, I take the entire unit and I lay it out with the dates so that they know what they're going to expect for each week. A lot of my former students recommend printing it out and keeping it in your workspace so you can like cross off things like a checklist, but you also can look ahead and see like, oh, I have a really busy week, you know, because of the school play or whatever activities I'm doing. So, but I've got this work due, maybe I'll work ahead on the weekend to get ahead on it or something like that. So the unit checklists are there to help them. And then each week, they'll complete their weekly work on time by Monday night at midnight, following the weekly worksheet that steps them through everything required for the week. The final thing is that they should ask for help if anything is confusing or unclear. Emailing me is the best way they're going to get an answer quickly. I can set up a quick Zoom conference with them if we need it. They shouldn't suffer in silence and just hope they can figure it out, because they have a lot to do each week, and if they just wait and don't get to it, they're going to feel that they're falling behind. So they should feel very comfortable just emailing me whenever they have an issue. If they email late at night, I go to sleep pretty early because I get up early for school, but I'll email them back the next day so that they'll get an answer quickly and they can move on with their work. So we'll be doing 4 units this year. They're each kind of grouped around a theme, and each one focuses on a different type of writing. So our first unit is called Why Stories Matter, and our focus is on narrative. So we're going to be reading short memoirs, narratives, stories, articles that have a narrative form to them. And the writing that we're going to focus on is all narrative writing. Students will actually have a choice of writing a college essay, a personal opinion column using a narrative, or just a straight personal narrative as their final writing for this unit. So kind of based on their needs, if they want feedback on a college essay, they can do that, but they can do personal opinion column if they want to be more persuasive, or if they want to be more creative, they can do a personal narrative. Unit 2, our theme is Monsters, Madness, and Mayhem, and it's our Shakespeare British drama unit where we'll be reading the play Macbeth, watching various scenes from Macbeth, and the writing that they'll do for that is a literary analysis, multi-paragraph essay. Unit 3, the theme is Living in Dystopia, and we'll be reading Brave New World. The writing that they'll be doing during that is going to be a research paper. It will be their senior research paper, practicing expository writing style, and it doesn't have to connect to Brave New World or reading. So they have a lot of choice in what they want to do their research paper on. It should be something they're very interested in learning about so that they enjoy the research process. Finally, our final unit, the theme is Identity and Self. Depending on when we have to put our final exam and how much time we have, we may be reading the book Born a Crime by Trevor Noah, but some years, based on when all the graduations are, we have to do the final earlier. We don't have enough time, so we will do like a short fiction and poetry unit relating to identity and self. And the final writing type they'll do is a project-based learning activity with a choice of project types to show their learning. So getting started, as I said before, it's a little bit different than virtual learning. So if you notice that your students are having struggling with mastering the workflow or finding things in Schoology, please ask them to email me as soon as they are confused so I can set them on the right track. Once they get it and they know where everything is, it should all make sense to them. But at the beginning, if they're confused, email is the best way to get over that confusion. So ask them to email me. Okay, our course syllabus is available in the orientation materials folder in Schoology. There's also a parent syllabus acknowledgement form there as well. Unfortunately, you're going to have your student log into Schoology in order to access these things. We don't have a way to have parents kind of have a separate access to Schoology. So some changes, this is in red because we've got some changes to grading policies this year that are coming to us from FCPS. So one of those is that this year, the online campus classes will no longer be using a rolling grade book. And it's important for students to know this because a lot of them have had most of high school with a rolling grade book. And we're going back to each quarter having a grade and those quarters being averaged to get the final grade, rather than all the grades being in one giant pot that all of those grades average to a final grade. So it means they have to focus more on how their grades are each quarter. And the other big change coming is that, unlike the past years since the pandemic, where if a student didn't complete an assignment, they got a 50% anyway, this year they will get a 0 if they don't complete an assignment. The county has asked that if a student has a grade lower than a 50% for the quarter, we bump it to a 50 so that that quarter doesn't bring down the rest of the year too much. So our quarter grades will be weighted as follows. 60% of the grade will be our formative assessments, things like homework, classwork, the weekly worksheet, Zoom participation, practice in our grammar program, things like that. 40% of the grade will be summative. These are our major assignments like tests, final quizzes, essays, and projects each quarter. A big requirement for the online campus is a midterm and final exam. So students in online classes must attend a live proctored midterm and final exam. And these will each count as 10% toward the overall grade for the year. So we have tentative dates here of January 16th for the midterm and May 14th for the final exam. Especially that May date may change because, again, we have to wait till we have the graduation dates for all of the schools and make our final before that. But they will be at my school, Falls Church High School. It'll be after school. I do I call it a soft start, where students can arrive anytime from 4 to 5:30, and they'll come in quietly. I'll give them their test. They'll get started with it. When they finish, they can leave. I do this because they're coming from all over the county, and so I don't want them to be worried about getting stuck in traffic or trying to drive fast to get there. It also, if they need a ride, it gives people a little bit more of a window to get them to the school. So it gives them that leeway that they don't come in stressed. They can get there by 5:30. They'll have plenty of time to complete their test by 7:30. So this year we have a late work policy in FCPS that late work can incur a penalty up to 10%. This wouldn't, of course, count if a student had an accommodation for extended time on assignments, but if the assignment is late, it could have 10% taken off. And all late work must be submitted by the end of the unit or by the end of the quarter, whichever comes first. So students have to kind of keep up with the units so they don't fall behind as we move on to the next unit. If a student is dealing with some kind of emergency situation, please have them notify me, or you can reach out and notify me, and I can help them make a plan to catch up. I want them to graduate. I want them to succeed. So I don't want them to feel that they're so far behind they can't catch up. I'm here to help them do that. Okay, so some tips to help your child succeed in this online class. These are all based on my students. I've taught English 12 online, like I said, for 16 years. So these are things every year at the end I poll my students and I say, what should I tell people next year? And these are the top things. So the first one is set aside time each week to complete your coursework. Students say it's best to spread this out through the week into 2 or 3 sessions rather than trying to do all your work in 5 to 6 hours on the last night that it's due. They said, have a day early. Like some of them will, right after class on Tuesday night, sit down with the work and start working on it, or do it on Wednesday afternoon. If they have a free period at school, they can do it then. But they say do something early in the week, so if you're confused or you have questions, you have time to ask about it and then go back and do the work. Try not to wait till the last minute. So it's really important to make that kind of appointment with themselves, like this is the time I'm going to do the work. What a lot of students say is it's really easy to put this one on the back burner and then you fall behind and you feel like you can't dig out of it. So they said make your time so that you're going to sit down and do it, check things off of that weekly checklist. The second thing is email the teacher with questions the minute you think of them. Don't sit there suffering or trying to figure things out. Don't waste your time. Just email so you can get an answer. You can move on with your work. The other thing is to check Schoology. When I grade their weekly worksheets, I put comments and give them feedback so that way they can improve if they're not getting a good grade on their weekly work. And then the biggest tip everyone says is don't fall behind. You'll regret it. So all the students are like, if they did fall behind, they're like, I regret it. It was so hard to get past that. And the ones who didn't are like, oh, it was once I had my flow down and I knew when I was going to work on it, it made it a lot easier. And I just kind of highlighted it here at the bottom. Printing out that unit checklist and using it to keep track of what is due will really help them internalize and see how much time they're going to spend each week. So that's it for me. If you've got any questions, please feel free to email me or send me a message through Talking Points. I use both of those systems. I may be contacting you by email or phone or Talking Points if I have concerns or if I notice your student is falling behind. I want them all to pass and graduate and do well, so I will be in touch if that looks like it's not going to happen. Thank you so much. Take care and have a great night.